3 investigations are now underway into the Secret Service following last Saturday's assassination attempt on Donald Trump. The agency's director testified today on Capitol Hill as calls mount for her resignation. Senior Washington correspondent Tara Mergener is here with us now. Tara, Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle called this the worst blunder in decades. Did she take any accountability for it?
You know, she kind of was a little bit back and forth on that. On the one hand, saying that it was her responsibility, but couldn't quite say where the buck stopped during today's hearings. In any case, as you said, there are growing calls for her resignation.
Our mission is not political. It is literally a matter of life and death.
In her first public appearance since the rally, Secret Service Director Cheatle promised to move heaven and earth to ensure what happened July 13th will never happen again.
I have full confidence in the men and women of the Secret Service. They are worthy of our support in executing our protective mission.
Cheatle is facing multiple calls from Republicans and at least one Democrat to quit, given the events and failures of that day.
We almost lost a presidential candidate the other day.
Committee Chairman James Comer praising efforts by Secret Service agents while questioning Cheatle's leadership.
While we give overwhelming thanks to the individual Secret Service agents who did their jobs under immense pressure, this tragedy was preventable.
While Cheatle insists agents would not have allowed Trump to take the stage if they knew of a legitimate threat, critics point to media reports and video footage showing that Secret Service, law enforcement, and even rally-goers knew of the threat at least 20 minutes before shots rang out.
Now, the rally was not paused at that point, correct?
No.
And she was asked why Secret Service didn't put personnel on the roof of the building the gunman occupied.
I mean, you could have put Barney Fife on the roof and kept somebody from getting up there.
Cheatle was also asked about the 1-minute delay in removing Trump from the stage after he was hit by a bullet. Matthew Crooks fired 8 shots before a Secret Service sniper killed him with a single bullet. In a heated exchange with House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan, Cheatle insisted past requests for additional security by Trump's campaign were not denied.
Well, is Mr. Guglielmi your spokesperson? He said he acknowledged the Secret Service had turned down some requests. I'm asking how many?
A denial of a request does not equal a vulnerability.
And Republican and Democratic leaders of the House Oversight Committee, Representatives James Comer and Jamie Raskin, say they will send an official letter calling for Kimberly Cheatle's resignation. Caitlin, tough day for her on Capitol Hill.
For more analysis, we're joined now by former Secret Service agent Tim Miller. Tim, first question. Director Cheatle says the agency will move heaven and earth to ensure an incident like the July 13th assassination attempt does not happen again. What does that mean for the agency? What work needs to be done to make that assurance?
Well, first off, I would have hoped the agency would have moved heaven and earth to ensure protectees were safe all along. So not quite sure what this is referring to, because it is very obvious that what occurred last Saturday was not moving heaven and earth, but it was the bare minimal. And so I think what you're going to hear at the hearing today is a litany of things that kind of violated principles and practices that we've been utilizing with the Secret Service for decades. My hope and prayer is that it starts, if you're going to move heaven and earth, it starts with the leadership. How did the Secret Service get to this point? I would remind you, it was only 3 or 4 short weeks ago that you had 37 or so internal Secret Service agents become whistleblowers saying, hey, our mission is being compromised. And yet no substantial changes came as a result of that. And sure enough, what they were saying came out to be true during the attempted assassination of President Trump.
When it comes to leadership, what's the appropriate amount of accountability here? Is it resignations? Is it system reform? Your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, you know, Director Cheatle said the buck stops with her, but that means that the accountability starts with her. You know, as a Marine, we learned very early on, if the mission fails, it's a direct responsibility of the leader. And in that case, military officers were fully expected. If you're the captain of the ship runs aground, you don't even have to be on the bridge. If the buck stops with you, that means you're fired right away, so that we can look objectively from the top down at what happened and why it happened. I think Director Cheatle should step down, but there are other leaders within the Secret Service that allowed this to happen. And that's just simply so there's accountability with the American people. We are tired of hearing excuses for why things were the way they are without the opportunity to correct them.
What message does this entire situation send to the world or people here in the U.S. with ill intent about the safety of the American president?
Well, I mean, that's the ultimate question. And I think certainly if you look at the lax security in place at the site with former President Trump, you realize it was not even remotely a safe security operational area. Now, with that said, let me say this. The men and women of the Secret Service are incredible. They're gifted, they're strong, they're talented. But unfortunately, and there are reports that the First Lady had far more Secret Service resources a short distance away than the projected, obviously the Republican nominee, but also the potential next president of the United States and former had at his site. Well, you have to ask yourself, why were those resources pulled from his site where there is such a high level of threat information and given to other requirements? It just doesn't make sense. And I think the details today will bring home clearly kind of why. At least that's my hope.
All right, Tim Miller, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Thanks for having me.